business meeting of City Council. Ms. Anderson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I'd remind those in attendance that if you'd like to speak, we've got a sign-up sheet in the back corner of the room. We'd love for you to complete that and share your thoughts with us at the end of the meeting. First item on the agenda this evening is the adoption of the meeting agenda. Is there a motion to adopt tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 4, matters from council members. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share this evening?
Mr. Mayor, I'd probably like to say something tonight. I know, I think this is going to be Ms. Anderson's last meeting. And I can remember 4 years ago going to the Waynesboro Library for an interview. I was running for city council, and it was the first time I met you. And we were sitting out there waiting to go in to be interviewed, and we had our first discussion, and I remember it well. And glad you got elected. It's been a pleasure serving with you. I've enjoyed your input and our relationship together. I've enjoyed our lunches, our talks, our agreements and disagreements, but it has been nice to have you here, and I'm going to miss you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I would chime in. It's also been a pleasure working with you, Ms. Anderson, and we will miss you. And then I would throw out my next constituent meeting will be next week, first Tuesday of the month always, March the 3rd, 9 a.m. at the French Press. For anyone who's interested, always an open forum, and we sort of take whatever comes and kick it around. So note that in your schedule.
Elzina, it's been a pleasure, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll definitely echo that, Elzina, for got to meet Elzina the first time. I was running for council, and she came down to the library and had a lot of great ideas and said, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I said, well, no one's announced running for Ward A yet. And she did over the weekend, and I have absolutely enjoyed it. I think I'm most proud of not only your service to our community and to your constituents and all of our constituents, but for making a friend along the way. So thank you for everything, Elzina. Yep.
I guess I'll keep it short.
Okay.
I was going to wait until the end, but I've just enjoyed the journey, have learned a lot, and just my colleagues up here, city staff, our city attorneys, it's just been a great run. And Julia has been amazing. It's nice having another female up here. She's been a great friend, and I will miss it. Terry, as he said, just going to that first informational session, not knowing that I was about to become a city council member or even run, I just wasn't even in the back of my head, but I just hope other people accept the offer and they run as well. And, it looks like we have some applications in for this seat, and so I'm really excited to see that. And, I wish I was here. I wish I was here until the end. As you know, my term would have ended in June, but, I was needing to leave my 9-to-5 job and move on and reorganize. And so I'm looking forward to my next journey. So thank you
so much. And with that journey, she's not done yet. So technically to the 1st of March. And so with that, we have just want to remind folks, we've got our Unity in the Community event this Saturday at Rosenwald from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. In our partnership with the Waynesboro branch of the NAACP. Elzina and I have been meeting with the branch and an awesome group of friends and community leaders to kind of craft out this event. We'll have over 30 different vendors and community service organizations, not-for-profits that do wonderful things in our, not just our community, but our region. And we've got some great lunch sponsors for folks too, and some fun activities for all ages. So certainly hope folks can come out again this Saturday, September 29th, from 11 to 2 p.m. at Rosenwald. So a couple of things that I've worked on the last couple of weeks, we've had an opportunity to spend an entire day with 8th graders and see the halos over the 8th grader teachers over at Kate Collins Middle School. This is about the 3rd or 4th year getting to do that and speaking to them about civics and local government and the importance of showing up for civic life. So that was a really neat opportunity. And then last night, my wife and I attended the 3 R's fundraiser over at Basic City. 3 R's is a reading program that has literally touched the lives of thousands of children in Waynesboro, provided tens of thousands of pages of books for school children at Winona, William Perry, and Kate Collins, and it has grown tremendously over the years. I think this year they're looking to raise about $25,000. What happens towards the end of the school year, they in partnership with the school system, they take these kids up to Green Valley Book Fair, and they get to buy books for the summer and have their own reading program over the summer. So it's really, really awesome, and so appreciate all the work that they do. All right. Next on the agenda is appointment to the Historical Commission. Mr. Hamp.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of council, this evening you are asked to consider the appointment of Mr. Herman Wells to the Waynesboro Historical Commission for an unexpired 4-year term that ends August 31st, 2020. Mr. Wells will be or would be eligible for reappointment for a subsequent term, September 1, 2020.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Wells?
I'll make that motion.
Great, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations. Thank you for your service. Right. Item 6 is to consider introducing an ordinance appropriating to multiple funds various miscellaneous revenues in the amount of $26,702. Mr. Shaw.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, as noted, this ordinance recognizes the receipt of miscellaneous revenues across funds of the city. In the general fund, the receipt of $12,898 comes primarily from insurance proceeds, a bit more than $9,000, and then a considerable portion comes from donations and sponsorships for the Parks and Recreation Department. That's sponsorships for races and other programs, and smaller amounts for reimbursement for extradition cost. In the water fund, the entire $4,405 comes from the sale of scrap metals. In the sewer fund, $8,795, again, are insurance proceeds. The stormwater fund is receiving a $500 Keep Virginia Beautiful grant. And then finally, in the fleet fund, $104 from the sale of scrap metal.
Great.
Glad to answer any questions you might have.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions, Mr. Shaw? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to introduce the ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? This ordinance is introduced and will be considered at our March 19th regular business meeting. Item number 7 is to consider introducing an ordinance appropriating $22,256 in federal asset seizure funds for transfer to the general fund for the purchase of a vehicle for the Special Operations Division of the Police Department. Mr. Hamp.
So yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, members of council, the introduction there is fairly self-explanatory. The vehicle will be purchased in the Special Operations Division and will precipitate several rotations. Ultimately, a 1999-1998 Crown Victoria with 190,000 miles on it will be surplused. So we'll do some rotation reassignment with the purchase, anticipating and noting that these are asset forfeiture funds, not local tax dollars.
Thank you, Mr. Hamp. Any questions? Is there a motion to introduce the ordinance?
I'll introduce.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second. Sam.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, we'll bring this at our March 9th meeting as well. Number 8 is to consider introducing an ordinance appropriating restricted fund balance from the courthouse reserve in the amount of $4,451 and a portion of restricted fund balance reserves from the sheriff's calendar fund in the amount of $199 to the general fund for installation of safety glass in the sheriff's office. Mr. Hamp.
Unless there are questions, I think the introduction is self-explanatory.
Thank you. Any questions? Is there a motion to introduce the ordinance?
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I will bring that to our March 9th meeting as well. Number 9 is to consider adopting an ordinance appropriating a donation in the amount of $5,000 from the Friends of the Library to the general fund to be used for the purchase of large print books. Mr. Hamp.
Unless there are questions.
Great. Any questions? Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our heartfelt thanks goes to the Friends of the Library. Number 10 is communication, correspondence, and calendar.
A reminder that on March 4th, we'll have a budget work session, 6 o'clock in this room. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. All right, next brings us to citizen comment period.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dwight Williams.
Hey, Mr. Williams, do you mind stating your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, sir. Dwight Williams, 2818 Jefferson Lane here in Waynesboro. I think.
And I'll just remind you for the stoplight.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you. Mr. Mayor, council members, good evening. I'd like to address you tonight on something that's kind of come on the horizon for Virginia and for Waynesboro specifically, would be Senate Bill number 35, which has recently passed the Senate. Vice Mayor Henderson may have passed out a handout to you that includes the Virginia code I'll be referencing. This Senate bill was passed by the Virginia Senate on January 16th. This bill modifies 15.2-915 of the Code of Virginia, which relates to the control of firearms by localities. The bill, as passed by the Senate, can be best summarized as follows. It authorizes localities by ordinance to prohibit the possession of carrying of firearms in any building that is owned or used by localities for governmental purposes, in any public park owned by localities, or in any public street, road, alleyway, sidewalk, or public right-of-way, or any other place of whatever nature that is open to the public and is being used by or is adjacent to a permitted event or an event that would otherwise require a permit. In other words, a city like Waynesboro can, in a worst-case scenario, stand up a gun-free zone whenever and wherever it wants. The problem with this is that there will be an inconsistency of firearm laws across every locality in the Commonwealth. For example, if a Waynesboro resident decides that he wants to drive into Augusta County somewhere and take his firearm with him, he'll have to determine in advance if his route will take him through an area that will end up being a violation of some stood-up gun-free zone. It gets even worse if that same resident decides to drive from Waynesboro to, let's say, Harrisonburg. He have to research every possible gun restriction that may or may not exist in Waynesboro, Augusta County, Rockingham County, and Harrisonburg, and that can prove to be a monumental task. Instead of adding to public safety, it will create a chaotic event for firearm owners who are trying to remain law-abiding. It's one thing to have gun control laws that are universal to all localities of the state. It's quite another when every jurisdiction can do whatever they want, whenever they want. Therefore, I would like to ask the council to review Senate Bill 35, which has been provided to you, and I've highlighted parts E and F that are the proposed part of the bill, and consider passing an ordinance that simply states that Waynesboro shall not exercise any ordinance pursuant to 15.2-915 subsections E or F of the Code of Virginia. This ordinance proposal has been recommended for passage by localities by Anderson and Associates, a Virginia Beach law firm that's been tracking gun legislation in Richmond. Passing an ordinance like this will help firearm owners who live in Waynesboro, visit Waynesboro, or transit through our city to not unintentionally break laws because of the confusion and chaos that will occur when localities can make up their own gun control laws. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Williams.
Ms. Elaine Rackley.
Ms. Rackley, do you mind stating your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Elaine Rackley, 23 Page Drive, Stanton, Virginia. Mayor Short, Vice Mayor Henderson, City Manager Hamp, and to all the council members. I just wanted to say, Elzina, you have done an outstanding job as a city council person. I want all the council members, as well as the mayor and the city manager, to know, and even the council, that being a civic servant is a calling. You have to be called to do this. And you have to love people to do this kind of a job. And you all have done an outstanding job. I have reported on some of the things that have gone on recently, and that's just overwhelming to walk into a room of 2,000 and 3,000 people, and they're not for you, and you still have to do the right thing by law. That's not easy. But I watched you guys do it with grace, class, and style. And I'm proud of you, Elzina. I really am. Well done.
Great. Thank you very much.
Mr. Scott Holland.
I'll let you mind stating your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Scott Holland. I actually live in Weir's Cave. I was born in Waynesboro. So I'm here speaking because this is the last regular business meeting of Ms. Elzina Anderson. Apologize, I'm not a public speaker. No, I just wanted to publicly say how proud I am of her and join Waynesboro in wishing her good luck for the future. And just coming to these meetings, you don't see the level of dedication that she has to the city. I've seen the way that she would interact with citizens as a councilwoman and the way that she would really sincerely do what she could to help their problems and to make a difference. Even when she did not agree with someone's politics, she continued to show him or her the basic respect they deserved as a citizen, which is saying a lot in this polarized political climate, even on the local level. You know, when members of the Rise group a few months ago levied personal insults and attacks at her, you know, and then later online directed at her actually racial slurs, she handled their vitriol with dignity and grace. You know, a lot more than I would have been able in her situation. I don't know firsthand how difficult it is being on that side of the room, but I know it's not easy. I'm sure everyone here remembers, you know, how things got out of hand at the Second Amendment meeting recently, and it didn't put a dent in her smile afterwards. And I know anywhere she goes next is going to be considerably brighter because of that smile. So just wrapping things up, I'm joining Waynesboro, wishing you good luck for the future. I know you will be sorely missed here, and I'm going to continue to support you, of course. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
That's it.
Okay. Well, before we adjourn, I did want to extend my heart gratitude to you and for your service. Having no further business, I'll say we are adjourned. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this was beautiful. I was looking